Welcome to the Psychedelic Integration Podcast. I'm Sinclair Fleetwood, a ceremonialist, plant medicine guide, and psychedelic integration coach, and I help soul seekers create lasting transformation so you can get unstuck, embody your power, and be authentic AF, all with plant medicine as your guide. If you're ready to go beyond visuals and get a vision for your life, if you know the end of your ceremony is just the beginning of your expansion, then this show is for you. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome. Hello, family. Welcome to Season 5 of the Psychedelic Integration Podcast. I'm your host, Sinclair Fleetwood. It is my pleasure to be here live in Technicolor with you on YouTube and Spotify. We are increasing the depth of our connection. We are adding video, well, because it's nice to be able to see the face, the person. I'm a human person behind this podcast instead of a disembodied voice coming to you from somewhere in the galaxy, right? So thanks for being here. Thanks for taking a break with me over the winter, and welcome to 2025. We have a lot to do. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of healing to do. We have a lot of expansion to do. Thanks for taking a rest in the winter with me. Thanks for showing up back here ready to go. And well, if you're not ready to go, that's okay. We spend a lot of time shooting ourselves. It's January 1st. I better get my shit together. I should be productive. I should be doing things. And well, what our bodies are telling us is something completely different. It's cold. The light is less than the rest of the times of the year. All of the trees are asleep. The animals are asleep. The bears are sleeping. And humans are like, let's go. Let's do everything. It's the new year. Let's start strong. And maybe your system is telling you, I don't want to fucking start strong. I'm tired and I need to rest. So if you are feeling that way, if you are feeling a collective spiritual brick resting here on your chest that's asking for you to alchemize it or change it, transform it in some way, the things we should do. There is a voice inside my head. I don't know if it's in yours. Likely, I'm guessing that it is. There's this you should be doing it like this voice, right? And I have been noticing this voice coming up and telling me that I'm doing it wrong. And it should be like this. And really just setting this impossible standard of productivity and achievement and existence that feels unachievable. It feels like off the it's like you can't even see it. It's way up there. And so of course, because it's way up there, I never get there, right? And so then I'm like, I never can meet my own expectations of myself. And I started thinking who is that? Because that's it. It sounds like it's me. It sounds like my voice. That's not me. I don't tell myself that kind of stuff. I am seasonal. I am not trying to set unreasonable expectations for myself. I do a lot and I'm doing a great job all the time. And so I was having this realization of this belief system that I have running underneath the surface in my subconscious of a program of what I should be doing, experiencing, feeling, eating, expressing, how I should be, way I should be, way I am, right? And all of a sudden in this season of winter and slowing down, it was I became fully aware of all of these things that were running in the background. Not just you should be doing it like this, you're doing it wrong. But there's 3 specific cycles that I get into to create something to solve for myself. And so I've been pulling on the threads of these things. One of the things we work on in Nest and that I work on with a lot of my clients are identifying the beliefs that you have about yourself, the beliefs that are shaping your perception of reality, and allowing psychedelics to be a bridge that can show you your limiting beliefs, that can show you a path to a different experience and that can really reveal the power of your belief system to you, right? So I want to explore, how do we change limiting beliefs? How do you shift into a new mindset? How do you create a more empowered reality? How do you change your mind? How do you change what you believe in? What we believe is what we receive. Like, our belief system is our reality. They are not separate. They are one thing. And often these beliefs are they are the lens through which we experience the world, how we interpret the world, and they are determining what is possible for us in our lives. There's lots of different ways that beliefs arrive. We get them from our parents, from our upbringing, from our environment when we're young, from school, from church, from institutions, education, our overculture, the country we live in, the culture that we live in, the experiences that we have, and our experiences of spirituality in altered states where we feel outside of the structure and system of beliefs. So those experiences where we're able to break outside of the ego, outside of the self, connect to all that is, connect to nature, connect to these things that are bigger than ourselves, that starts to put some cracks in the belief system, sending in different little drops of light, drops of change, drops of new ideas. Our experiences of spirituality in altered states where we feel outside of the structure and system of beliefs. So those experiences where we're able to break outside of the ego, outside of the self, connect to all that is, connect to nature, connect to these things that are bigger than ourselves, that starts to put some cracks in the belief system, sending in different little drops of light, drops of change, drops of new ideas. All you need is a little crack for the light to get in, right? And so our belief systems directly decide what we are capable of, what we are capable of having, of doing, of experiencing, of feeling, of knowing. Our belief system either limits our potential or empowers it, expands it, makes it huge, makes it limitless. This specific practice of changing your belief system is one of the really core tenets of working with psychedelics, and why people work with psychedelics, because they want to believe something else. They want to believe something else is possible, something else is true. Think about the things that you believe in. Like, think about some of the things that you know are true. This may be things like Earth is round, the sun comes up and goes down every day. Like, there can be some sort of basic ones like that. You may believe there is a God. You may believe there is not a God. You may believe everything happens for a reason. You may believe that nothing happens for a reason, that nothing has any real meaning, that maybe there is a creator, a spirit, a force of life, but maybe it's amoral and it isn't concerned with what's happening here, right? I could go on forever. Like, the number of beliefs that are possible is equal to the number of molecules in the universe. It's like, that's how many different belief systems there can be. So what are they? What is a belief? Well, Abraham Hicks always says, a belief is a thought you continue to think. I really like that definition, because we kind of think about beliefs as being these very concrete, serious, hardcore, this is unmovable. This is unchangeable. This is something I know for sure. I don't need to keep checking in. I know this. This is how it is, right? They are things, convictions that feel true based on your experience, based on your own decision-making, based on, what you decided to believe. Really. That's really what it is. Beliefs are not facts. Beliefs are perceived truths. And that alone, that definition, it can be challenging to some beliefs, because a lot of people cling to their beliefs thinking this is something that is true, capital T, true. And I am asking you to consider that maybe it's not like that. And well, it's not me asking, it's the plants. That's where that came from for me, was everything that I thought I knew was true. Ayahuasca was like, no, let me just tear this apart for you. That this thing that you think is so tangible and solid is not. Let me, like, up is down, black is white, 1 + 1 = 4. Like, you know, it's, these medicines will pull apart everything that you think you have any connection to. And it can be really destabilizing when that happens if you don't start to think about this stuff and think about your own belief system and your own values and what you put value on and what you understand as true and real and good. So we have our conscious beliefs, the ones that we're aware of, the ones that are in our conscious mind, and then we have unconscious beliefs. And those are the ones that are sticky and tricky and that are mostly getting us stuck in patterns of behavior, patterns of thinking, ways of being, getting us stuck because we're like, oh, I've reached the limit. Like, I can't, it's not possible for me to go beyond this because there is nothing beyond this. Because hard belief, here's the wall, right? It's like a glass ceiling. Our subconscious is really running the show. And some people believe that the body is actually the subconscious mind, because of all of the things that the body does for us without our conscious participation. Heartbeat, breathing, blood circulation, like so many different things, right? The body is a collection of all these consciousness, all these cells, all of this consciousness joining together in teams and running stuff that we are not even paying, like, we're not aware of it. There's a force inside of us that is our subconscious. And it is shaping us, shaping our belief system, shaping how we operate outside of our direct awareness for the most part. So we're really operating mostly from a completely unconscious place. And one of the magical things about plant medicine is it takes the unconscious and makes it conscious. It brings everything up into our conscious mind. And I see that over and over in myself, where I want to change something, I want to shift something, I want to move to a different expression, or I feel like I'm getting an up leveling that's been happening, the last few months. I'm like, okay, I'm in like a birth canal of change. All right, good. Terrifying. Being reborn means part of you is dying. So it's always both ends. It's always a little scary. It's always exciting. And you can't force yourself through the birth canal. Like, you have to be patient and you have to be gentle and soft with yourself. And I really want that for this year for everyone, is like, ask yourself, how can I be softer? How can I be more gentle? And especially when you start looking at the things that you believe, the things that you're not aware that you believe, the limiting beliefs, that the ways that you make yourself smaller, that you keep yourself stuck, that you keep yourself safe, because that's where these come from. The body's just running stuff to try. It's like, goal is like, keep you alive. And our cellular evolution is not really, it doesn't have the full upgrades to be operating in the environment that we're in now. It's like several, maybe 1,000 years behind. So we kind of have some old hardware and a little bit of like old, well, the hardware is awesome. Our DNA is amazing. It's like a liquid crystal, and our bodies are amazing and they are so empowered, but they move slow as far as, generational evolution and things like that. So what we are doing is running old software, and we need to upgrade, right? And so how that works is we get stuck in these birth canals of like change. And that's when the subconscious beliefs, the subconscious stuff that's running underneath starts to make itself known. I like to think about it as rising. It rises so it can be healed. So when something, we even say this was coming up for me, it's like, it's actually the language of rising. It's like water. The emotional body is water. So when something is rising in you emotionally, I like to think of it as rising into your mental body to be healed, because we have these bodies. We have the spiritual body. We have the mental body. We have the emotional body. We have the physical body. And it's like going out, right? Going out and going in. And things come out and they come in, and they go both ways. And for most of us, in order for us to get to the place where we can start to work on our belief system, we need to get our physical body in a good way. So I work with people for multiple months, years, just working on the physical body, creating safety in the nervous system, understanding how to feed yourself well, working on your sleep, doing all the things, hydrating. Every time I say that, I take a drink of water, so I can remember to drink my water, because we're just walking around like a bunch of husks. We're all dried up. We're all shriveled like raisins. It's like, why do you feel crappy? Maybe you should drink some water. So I believe the path of integration starts in the physical. So that's why I always start there, because if your body is making symptoms and you feel out of alignment, you have anxiety, depression, maybe a combination of a physical and emotional and a mental illness, or manifestation of unwellness, or whatever you want to call it. It's an imbalance, really. It's important to get your environment in order. So when you start working on your belief system, that shit sticks. It's not just impossible to change it because, well, your physical body can't hold it. If you're out of alignment with yourself and you do a bunch of work on your mindset, it doesn't really take in the body if the body has habits of feeding and sleeping and not moving and all of these things that keep you in a state of heightened nervous system awareness, right? Your nervous system is jacked. Your nervous system is overstimulated or understimulated, but most people's nervous systems are hyperactive. We often see people whose fight or flight systems are on all the time, which can create insomnia, chronic pain, hormonal imbalance, all kinds of physical illness. The list goes on forever. You don't need me to name everything, right? So how is this related to beliefs? If you can regulate your environment, you do the stuff in the material, you do the stuff in the physical, you start working with your body, you start eating more healthy, natural foods, you are getting more sleep, and you're taking good care of the physical body. When the physical body feels safe, the emotions will naturally start to come up, the things that have been repressed. And plant medicine can really help this. It can really help you go into your system and pinpoint like blocks, energetic attachments, like things that are going on inside of you that are not necessarily in your awareness, in your conscious awareness, but they are there underneath the surface. So the medicine opens the portal of you and invites you to try on a new belief system. It invites you to feel it in your body. It invites you to feel it in your emotions. It invites you to feel it in your spirit and to think new thoughts. That's really how the medicines work. It's open a portal that you're not covered in your own garbage. You can shimmy out of the old way of thinking and being and kind of like look out and like, oh, there's a whole other world. Like there's a whole other version of me that's not all bogged down with all of this stuff and stuck in these things that are really tight because they're too small for me, because your spirit is expanding and growing. So I like to take care of the body first. I like to learn and spend time learning how to feel emotions. We think we can feel our feelings, and we do a good job a lot of the time, especially when the feelings are good and happy. But what about when the feelings start to get difficult? How do we handle that? Are you able to sit with yourself? Are you fidgety? Are you running away? Are you distracting? We all want to be healthy. We all want to feel good in our bodies. We all want to take good care of our bodies. We want to be healthy and well and vibrant and vital. So there's all these patterns that we use to be in control in some way and to protect ourselves in some way. And if I just solve this problem with my body, if my body was just smaller and more perfect and more how they tell me that it should look, then I would be worthy of receiving love, or then I would be worthy of success or money or health or whatever it is. I had always something telling me how I am is not okay. And I need to be different in order to receive love. So that created people pleasing, that created achievementism, perfectionism. It created like hypervigilance in my body where I'm constantly looking for there to be something wrong. This is the hallmark of a heightened, overprocessed, overworked nervous system. And for most of us, we are healing it, and also sometimes it gets activated. And both of those things are true. And that's how this path works. It isn't necessarily that you get a new belief system and then everything is different forever. It's that you get a new belief system, you start practicing it, you change some habits, you change some thoughts, you change some behaviors, you heal, you grow, you change, and then the old belief might come back and you might need to do battle with it again. Maybe you didn't change it all the way before. These things are really deeply ingrained into our systems, and especially big ones like this, which are really covering up the biggest belief of all that we have, which is I'm not enough. I'm not whatever enough. Thin, young, rich, talented, smart, funny, fast, name your poison. We believe that we're not enough. And so we create these mazes, they're really like little mazes that we can't get out of. And we just think, okay, I'm just going to solve this problem. And then I'm going to try all the things I've already tried. And I'm going to come at it with the same consciousness that created it, which is not a way to solve a problem, because you're trying to solve a problem that is built on an erroneous belief system. That's why you can't ever solve it. And it's almost like your system knows that it's unsolvable, but it gives you a carrot to follow, right? And when the way that I've been understanding these things for me is this: seeing the better that my life feels and the more calm and safe and healthy and loved and nourished and creative and excited that I feel, and the more aligned that I feel, the stronger these crazy beliefs are coming up, because it's time to heal them. It's time to take the flamethrowers to them and be like, no, like, you don't get to come, and you don't get to block me from having the capacity that I know that I can have. And that's really what it is. It's these like little lids that we put on ourselves so we don't do something crazy and unsafe, because our subconscious is just trying to keep us safe. And this is the problem that it knows. It knows that there's something wrong with you. And it's funny, and I like to refer to it in those funny terms because it is funny. It's like, this is all self-created. I actually don't have to engage with any of this anymore because none of this is true. And I can heal it just like that by changing my beliefs and deciding not to engage in it. That part is intense. When you decide, I don't believe this anymore, and I am no longer going to engage my energy with it. That's a boundary that you're putting with yourself. And that's where the challenge is. It's not, I'll never overcome this belief that's so, torturing me. It's like, no, it's really easy actually to change your mind. The thing that's not easy is putting the discipline and devotion in place and steering yourself in another direction. It's very similar to breaking an addiction. It's like you need to think of it like an addiction, and they are addictions. They are addictions to old ways of being. They are addictions to the stress that your body creates when it thinks about having this problem. And the more energy that we put into worrying about these problems that continue in our lives, the longer they stick around. What you resist persists. The more energy you feed into this thing that you want to get rid of, the bigger it will be. That is how it works. So it's super important to identify all of these things that you find in yourself. And you don't have to carry all of this with you anymore. You can just say, like, I don't want this, I don't believe in this, and I'm not going to do this. And draw an exit door in chalk on the wall and walk out of it. I really believe that what you believe is what you see. Believing is seeing. We think the way that things work is I need to feel something and have proof of it and know it, and then I'll believe in it. And that is the opposite of how it actually works. You have to believe before you will see the tangible manifestation. So when you're thinking about this, it's important to think about the concept of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, like the Oedipus story, right? Where Oedipus was told that he was going to murder his father and marry his mother. And he was like, I would never do that. I'm not going to do that. But because he believed that that was what was going to happen, he actually made it happen. By trying to avoid making it happen, he made it happen. He created it all along, right? So there's all these different myths where that is what happens. We bring about this thing that we don't want because we're putting all of our attention and energy and effort and focusing on this like fear or lack or not having or having something we don't want. And our beliefs about ourselves, about what we deserve, about what we're afraid of, will directly impact the tangible reality, the material reality of your life, right? So if you believe that you're not good enough, and that is a conscious or unconscious belief that you have, I'm not good enough, like I'm not ever really good enough, what do you think is going to happen? The world is unsafe. What do you think is going to happen? So often the medicine can open and show you these places where you have some really serious beliefs that are blocking you from having or doing or being the thing that you want most in the world. So that's why in coaching, we're always talking about like, let's work on your limiting beliefs. Let's move these out of the way and change them and reframe them so that you can get all of the things that are trying to reach you instead of holding it out like this, like, no, I'm not good enough. Please don't come. Don't come here. One of my favorite ones that I found out I had was about money. My father was always very generous with his money when I was younger. And I really wanted his attention and his time and connection with him. And he gave me money instead. And so I made this correlation in my little mind when I was a little kid, 6 years old or something, that like, I don't like money because he's giving me money, but what I want is love. And I don't want money. I want love. So I started getting this belief of like, when I would get money from him, I would get mad. And so I was like mad at the energy of money. And it's not money's fault. And actually, he was giving me love. That was his love language. He wanted to take care of me financially. So it was a language of love, but I didn't know that at the time. I was just a child. So I found that I had this deep core belief that money takes away love. So if you have money, you don't get love. And I was like, that is not okay. Like, I don't believe that. But I had to go in there and find it. You know, I had to go into my deep inner psyche and find this agreement that I made with money that when I was 6 years old. And after I dissolved that agreement, I started having a lot more money come into my life because I wasn't holding it, away from me. And so what kind of limiting beliefs do you have? Everybody has them. I have 3 main ones that I like to put on repeat. And often these come up into my awareness when my capacity is expanding and everything is going really well. And my brain is like, I don't think so. I need to create a problem. So sometimes we call this self-sabotage, right? And so my 3 are, I'm too fat, I'm too poor, and I'm dying. And they manifest in all these different ways, but I notice these cycles of my attention and problems that I need to solve and stepping back and letting it rise and looking, I'm like, these are all just limiting beliefs that have a bunch of actions tied to them. So I engage with the belief, I'm too poor. And by engaging with the belief, I trigger a series of automatic actions, worry, anxiety, obsessive bank account checking, like the hustle game. I'll just call it that. And it's really like thinking this thought that's a belief that I think all the time, activating my scarcity mindset and all of the actions that go with that. So the I'm too fat one is relationship with food, body image, exercise, beating myself up about my physical body related to how small or not small it is. Just always wanting to be smaller, like the belief that as a woman, I just need to be like as tiny as possible. And I say this is an unconscious belief because I don't consciously believe this at all. I don't believe this. I don't agree with it. And it's still there running under the surface. This is true for a lot of us. We have these beliefs that are unconscious, so we don't know how they're really affecting us. It's like a puppet. It's like a hand puppet, like a sock puppet, and you're the sock, and the belief is the hand, and it's just like it's like, look at me, I'm, here I am, I'm wearing Sinclair, and she's acting like a crazy person because of me, because she has these, but she can't see me. She thinks she's just, walking around like a sock. That's a great metaphor. But this happens for everything, like fear of failure, fear of success, whatever thing you have with your body, creating symptoms in your body because you're not able to feel whatever emotions are there. Scarcity in all its varieties. All of the ways that we keep ourselves small in our relationships, our careers, our physical health, our financial health, our creative health, and how we hold on to these because we don't know they're there, number one. They are protective, number two. They came about in our systems to correct an imbalance. So if your body and mind and heart created a belief to keep you safe, and it has been keeping you safe, meaning you're alive, the brain, body, gut axis, whatever, it doesn't know that it's like making you miserable, and it doesn't care because it's efficiently keeping you alive. So believing this thing is keeping you alive, and it's probably creating a bunch of, stress-induced self-sabotage programs that run on the stress chemicals of whatever it is that you believe in. It's a lot. It's really a lot. We're really rewriting reality with these medicines and the spiritual path and the consciousness expansion that we're doing on this path. And medicine is just one way. We're doing it in meditation. We're doing it in community. We're doing it in the way that we live, the choices that we make, the decisions that we make. So let's say you have a big breakthrough in a medicine journey. You realize a bunch of stuff. You're like, okay, that was the old way, and now I've had this breakthrough and I have a whole new belief system. Amazing. I'm going to take this and I'm going to change my life forever. And then you go back into your life and nothing changes. And you really struggle because you're not able to integrate this belief. So you see it, you know that it's true, but you're not able to change. So why is that? Like, why can't we make the change? If we believe it in the moment, why can't we just fix it? Like, why doesn't it just change in that moment? If you heal something in the quantum space, if you heal something energetically, it will heal in your body. It will heal in your heart. It will heal in your actions and your behaviors. It will heal in your mind. It will heal in your thought patterns. But not if you continue to practice your old belief. Not if you continue to engage in the same behaviors and habits that created the old belief. We have this thing called neuroplasticity in the mind. So when you have a medicine journey, you are opening the exquisite power of neuroplasticity in your mind. So it kind of means that your mind is real soft and malleable and programmable. So this time that you have right after a medicine experience, probably for up to 3 weeks, usually, could be shorter, could be longer, depending. But it's around 3 weeks, usually. And it's the most acute and big and powerful and malleable at the beginning, the closer you are to the medicine experience, and then it starts to fade. If you want to program yourself with new beliefs, you have to start changing your thought patterns. And you have to decide that you are going to do it differently. And this requires self-awareness, right? It requires a willingness to look deep into yourself from a place of non-judgment, from a place of softness and compassion. I'm looking at myself and I'm making a joke about it because it's actually quite painful, this thing that I figured out about myself. And I've known it for a long time. I've been watching myself do this. And it just keeps coming and showing me like more details of like, here's your broken program that's running in the background. That is this fake struggle that you constantly engage with when you don't have other things going on. And it's always in times of rest, because my brain doesn't really know how to rest very well. Like most people, we create neurotic behaviors because we run on anxiety. We run on stress hormones, and we need to be fixing something. We need to be achieving at all times. So you create these things, and then your consciousness is like sucking it from the ether and showing it to you. And like, here it is. So if you see this in you and you're like, oh my God, I am so gross. Like, why am I doing this? Why can't I fix this? One way to go is to beat the shit out of yourself, to beat yourself up, to criticize yourself, to be really mean to yourself. Like, how could I have done that? Why am I like this? Like, I'm such a failure. I'm such a loser. How can I not figure this out? I've been taking medicine for years and I just now see this and I still haven't healed it. It just must not work for me. Or there must be something wrong with me. So then you're just like creating a new limiting belief instead of the alternative, which is, I'm so grateful that I can really see into myself. I can be really self-aware and know myself and see these coping mechanisms that I have created. Wow, I'm such an evil genius. That's thinking about it. I'm like, you are really giving yourself so much to worry about. And babe, lighten up. These are not things you need to be spending your time worrying about. Like, it's just when you start catching yourself in practicing these beliefs, and it's like an amusement park. It's like a thought amusement park. And you're like, all right, today I'm going to I'm Too Fat Land, and we're going to ride the intermittent fasting roller coaster and the I'm eating too many carbs tilt-a-whirl and the Himalaya of calorie restriction and the haunted house of binge eating. And, it's sort of like you're just taking a ride on these little loops of behaviors and thoughts that are stemming from this belief system, this erroneous belief system that really comes down to, if you go a layer deeper, what are these beliefs about? Okay, well, mine happen to be mostly about my physical body, because that is really my main interface in this lifetime. I'm an earth sign, and I have a Taurus moon. A lot of my alchemy is with embodiment and being in my body and spending a lot of years not in my body because I was addicted, and then moving into really embodying and now coming to a place of like, okay, actually, this is all mental. And having to have gone through like 7 years of working with my body and becoming fully embodied and having all these issues show up in my body, and then coming to the end of that and being like, okay, you can actually heal all of this with your mind. And how it works for you is going to be completely different. You may be a super emotional person, and maybe yours comes through like the waves of feeling. And really, the more that you work with plant medicine and spirituality, the more that all of these things become one thing. It's not just like we're dealing with the body or we're dealing with the mind. It's the mind body. It's the mind body heart. It's the mind body heart spirit complex, right? That's what integration is we're one being, and we have all of these parts and all of these things, and we want to unite them. We want to bring them all together. And it's funny because it's painful. I can laugh about it because when I step back and watch myself do this, I'm like, you're a ridiculous person. And like, I have so much compassion and sweetness for myself, because these are really serious things to struggle with. When you get stuck in the in the merry-go-round of physical illness or chronic pain or depression or anxiety or PTSD. These are not things that you're making up. These are real manifestations that cause physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual pain. And we create them so that we can walk through the shadow to find the gift. And so in order to really understand all of it, we have to go through it. We have to go through the pain to get to the place where, for me, it was like all this physical pain, physical symptoms, all of these things with my body, to come to the understanding of I am a quantum being. My beliefs matter. And my beliefs are not fixed truths. They're not set in stone, and they can be altered. And I can change them in an instant. And so we have to be self-aware. We have to know what's going on in our own system. You have to turn your awareness inward and figure out your own parts and be looking for what pops up. Oh, here's this and here's this. And holding it all really lightly with compassion, without self-judgment, and opening the way to change them. Because if you're not willing to change your beliefs, it is very unlikely that you will actually be able to make a real tangible change in your life. Because you can't live in a way that goes against what you believe about yourself. Not possible. If you believe that there's something wrong with you, no matter how much you meditate or pray or do exercises or classes or coaching or therapy or whatever, if you believe that there is something wrong with you and you don't have the willingness to let go of that and grasp onto something else, even a little bit, you don't have to believe it all the way for it to start working. You just have to believe it. You just have to be open to believing it really before it can start to work. Because when you open, it's sort of like letting the neuroplastic, the connection be oh, you can look for another place to connect. But if you're not even allowing it to do that, it's never going to even know that there's other connections available, right? So we have to rewire our brains to make new beliefs, to make new neural connections, because that's where the beliefs live. They live in your brain, right? They're just little roads in there. And they say the things that fire together, wire together. So we have to practice new thoughts to create new beliefs. You have to practice new thoughts to create new beliefs. So if you don't want to believe something, you don't spend all your time staring at that belief being I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I hate that I feel this way. I hate how I feel. I'm not good enough. I really hate this feeling. The more you put your attention on not wanting it, the harder those connections are wiring. It's really the law of attraction in action. And what you can do instead is start using the negative thoughts as triggers to reframe into positive thoughts. So you can make the unconscious conscious by being mindful and paying attention, by being present with yourself, by taking pauses throughout the day, by meditating, sitting with yourself, journaling, noticing that you are thinking something that you don't like. Question the validity of your beliefs. Is this a belief based on reality, or is this a story that you tell yourself? Does it matter? Maybe it did. Maybe it was based in reality at one time, but if you don't want it anymore, you can change it, whether or not you think it's quote unquote true or not, right? Most of the time, the belief is something that we decided about ourselves. We made up the story and we can change it because we're the authors of our own story. You have to be willing to challenge your beliefs. Look for evidence to the contrary. I hear a lot of things like, this doesn't work for me. There is something wrong with me. I will never find love. I will never find peace. That only happens to other people. Things like that. And it's a little arrogant to think that you're the only person in the whole world who doesn't get to be happy. Come on, really? We're really attached to our own suffering and how big it is and how everybody else is having a great life, but not me, right? If you think about it logically, that's not possible. Everybody has suffering and everybody has joy. everybody's doing the best they can. Nobody knows really what's going on. Everyone's trying their hardest. And we're all doing the best we can. And nobody has it figured out all the way. Even the people who are, by societal standards doing the super best, they have a bunch of money, they're beautiful, whatever. Those are some of the most unhappy people there are because they put all of their value in things outside of themselves. Like, you don't ever really know what's going on with someone else. So your only work is to look inward and do this work in you, with you, so that you can move the needle to feeling better. Because what is the point of all of this if you don't feel better? If you don't have a better time being alive? That's why I do this, because I want to feel really, really good. I like it. I like to understand myself. I like the way that the medicines help me understand the nature of consciousness. I like the idea that I can program myself with new beliefs. It makes me feel like a magician. It makes me feel like a witch. And I enjoy it because it feels really good in my heart to be in gratitude and compassion and to laugh at myself and to be soft to myself in all the places where I haven't been able to be soft before. We have to think the new beliefs, but we have to feel them too. And I love looking for signs. Like, I ask the universe for signs all the time. I'm like, okay, help me find the synchronicities in this. Like, show me the right answer. Like, help me trust myself that I can know. And that's why I like saying fuck around and find out all the time, because we're just trying to understand by doing, and we have to fail a lot, Can you visualize yourself living in alignment with your new empowered beliefs? If you can't see yourself in a different experience, how are you supposed to get there? The way that you get there is to feel that you're already there, and then it comes to you. We have it all wrong. The way that things work is different than what we think. And all you need to do is take little baby steps, take little baby bites, and do small incremental changes that align with your new beliefs. You can live into the new belief. So maybe it doesn't feel true all the way, and that's okay. You have to keep practicing it. You have to keep opening to it. Because if you really want something, it's yours. If you want it, it's yours. And it takes patience and consistency to change the thought patterns that take you from an old version expressing beliefs that no longer serve you into living in alignment with the ones that do. So practicing journaling, meditation, mindfulness, like really becoming aware of your thoughts, watching them. That's why we meditate, is so we can watch the thoughts. It's not to think of nothing. It's to give yourself a pause, a space between the thoughts and who you are, because you are not your thoughts. You're not your beliefs. You're not your values. You're not your job. You are divine consciousness expressing in a body. And you can write the story however you want. You can create a reality that's different than the one you have. You can start your life over if you want. Nothing is set in stone. You could have an entirely different life if you wanted to. So I really like the idea of taking sacred action to act on your new beliefs. So I'm going to give you a little exercise to close this with. So write down a limiting belief about yourself, and then write down your new empowering belief, the one that you want to believe instead. And I like to say, I am attracting money and love. Life is easy for me. It's easy for me to receive. The universe loves me and has my back. I am loved. I am creative. I am powerful. I am blessed. The world is abundant. Anything that you feel good about. So you can use the old belief that comes into your awareness as a trigger to practice the new belief instead. So if you feel this unworthiness, you think oh, I'm just not good enough, or this doesn't work for me. What can you change that to? How can you reframe it? So when you notice that thought, immediately saying to yourself, everything is always working out for me. I am a divine expression of beauty and love. I'm vibrating in love. My body knows how to heal itself. I am perfectly in tune with my body. I am healthy, wealthy, and wise. Whatever thing that you want to believe about yourself instead. You can use the old belief when it comes up. You just replace it with a new one. And at first, this might feel weird. It might not feel it's doing anything. So be patient with yourself. Journal. Take notes. Tell yourself your new beliefs. Listen to guided meditations that are giving you affirmations. This is how you practice, is by programming your brain with other things. If you feel yourself going into the spiral of beliefs you want to get rid of, remind yourself that you have healed this in the quantum already. You've healed it energetically, and it is trickling through the rest of your bodies. So that one is really good for me because I often change my mind about something, but then it takes a while to get to the physical. So I know that something is healing, but it takes time to heal things in the body. It takes time to heal things in your heart. You might have something sticking around, that maybe you threw it in the fire, but it's still there. You know that you healed it. You healed it energetically. You healed it in front of the fire. You healed it with the medicine. It's healed. So you have to change your belief to that. I healed this. So it's going to show up in this physical reality eventually soon. How soft can you be about it? Can you let yourself go through the transition and let the belief that you don't want anymore, let it go, let it die, and give it the time. So thanks, Meth family. Thanks for being here for my first YouTube video podcast. I'm a little nervous to be on video, so I appreciate you being here. And reminder, come to Nest, come to our Gene Keys workshop with us. We are meeting every Wednesday night at 7. We would love to have you. You can figure out more how to work with me. All of the links to connect with me are underneath this show. You can go to my website, sinclairfleetwood.com. And thank you for being here. See you next time. Bye.